Okay, I see the 917. That means it's probably my hood. Are you in Manhattan or Brooklyn?
917, no, this is 734.
Oh, 734.
Yes, 917.
Gotta, where is that, 734?
Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Michigan. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
They have start.
It's a real town. It's the University of Michigan.
Oh, University of Michigan. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So quickly, 60 seconds, no more. I'm going to cut you off if you do go over. Succinctly,
Okay.
You heard the last call, I take it?
I did.
Okay. So just give us your elevator pitch. Go ahead.
Okay, I was expecting 120 seconds. No big deal. I want to solve two main sets of problems. The first one is the home user, basically. The second one is the enterprise user. So the home users are totally frustrated with having this big clunky box at home that's their home computer. The reason Mac has been so successful lately is because of the perceived ease of use. So what I want to provide is an appliance that provides the desktop experience at home. Now for enterprise, these people spend millions of dollars on IT departments that manage these desktops that are idle 95% of the time, or not working to their full capacity. So what we could do is provide some sort of an appliance to these people and have the desktop power in the cloud or in a data center.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
An ancillary thing to this is that there are these emerging markets like India, which is in a lot of cities in India, they'll have a huge, pretty fast WiMAX network soon. You can give these people extremely cheap devices that don't have any moving parts, basically will spin a thin client and no client, and get to their desktop environment through the cloud, where they can have more power than they could possibly afford in a desktop machine. And none of these people have to manage software installs. They want us to manage all the pain that goes along with managing a desktop computer.
Okay.
So it's not.
All right. We totally get it.
Okay.
I'm going to let Roloff take this one from the start. Go ahead.
So I like the idea. We've heard several companies pitch that proposition, and the enterprise side of it is a little bit more mature, as you can imagine. Several companies have been offering essentially blade servers with thin clients. So Citrix obviously is one of those. There are a couple of startup companies, there's one in Texas, I believe, that's doing very well, providing this service. It's called VDI, Virtual Desktop Infrastructure.
Sure. Well, can I jump in?
Sure.
The difference between this and the standard VDI is that this is over the WAN rather than over the LAN. So I'm familiar with VDI over the LAN.
Yeah.
But the idea here is to provide VDI over the WAN.
Yeah. So I've heard a couple of companies pitch that as well, and especially given the momentum behind public cloud infrastructure is led by what AWS has demonstrated to the world. There's a lot of enthusiasm for this. There are some concerns with the sort of latency that you may deal with over the WAN for some applications that are latency sensitive, although I think, as long as the data centers are within, a couple of hundred or maybe even 1,000 miles, I don't think that's going to be a huge problem. The problem ends up being more of a licensing problem, to be candid, that to deliver VDI, there are a lot of other mouths that need to be fed in the value chain. And so the licensing, Microsoft hasn't completely clarified its licensing arrangements for virtual desktop instances, and it's unclear how they charge on a virtual machine basis or a CPU basis, and what happens is, you point out, the machines are idle a lot of the time. And at least the economics that I've seen so far suggest that it might be a very low margin business on the enterprise side because of the licensing rules. For the same reason that the hosted exchange business has been a very good and fast growth business, but not a very high margin business. And there's sort of an interesting anecdote from there's this fantastic growth in netbooks, sort of very thin computers. And at the outset, people were thinking that these were going to displace Microsoft, and this was a fabulous boon to Linux-based operating systems for the individual machine. And initially, I think more than half of the netbook shipments were Linux-based operating systems. And over time, what happened was that has become 95% Microsoft OS. And while I agree with you, and we've been investing in this trend that things are going towards cloud-based applications. I mean, Google is behind this. Microsoft's catching up to it. Salesforce is behind that. A lot of our companies are exactly on that trend. We're not there yet. And it turns out that the average consumer is still using beyond the browser, at least one or two other applications. And those one or two applications for me are different than they are for Jason and different than they are from you. And that heterogeneity has made it very hard to displace Microsoft as the default OS for netbooks. So that to me is a very interesting learning as well. So I get the value proposition, but I think there's some tricky giants and elephants that you have to negotiate with in this particular ecosystem, which make it challenging to build a standalone company, even if the technology is fabulous. And we've seen companies with fabulous technologists. It's just sort of the market dynamics make it tough.
And I think you did a good job pitching it in 60 seconds. You did a great job sort of thinking on your feet and cutting your presentation in half. That was good. And I wonder if there is, some way to do this vision in a vertical. So I had a friend who had a company called Union Square Technology Partners, and they did virtualized desktops for law firms. Law firms have a lot of money. They've got very complicated desktop setups, and they charged $75 per desktop per month, and the law firms ate it up, and he wound up selling the company. And so, I think in a vertical where you solve the what applications are being used issue, and you have somebody who really has a high cost of IT, like a law department, a law group, or, you might be able to find a win there. Yeah. But maybe there's some way you can enable this, technology. I mean, this is one of those things where I would be very concerned about jumping into a herd of elephants, and you're this little raptor. You're just going to get smashed or bumped around. I always get nervous about jumping in front of the Google train or in front of the Microsoft train. You want to sort of ride alongside them, jump on the side of the train and not in front of it. So be careful.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think all your points very well. I think there was an excellent interchange.
Okay. You interested? What are you doing next week? Are you going to try to come out here for TechCrunch 50 if I give you a ticket?
Up to. I have a 4-month-old. I think I probably have to stay here.
All right. Mazel tov on the 4-year-old. I'm having my kid in December. So
congratulations.
Thank you. And if you ever need any help, you ever have a question, you can call your Uncle Jason, jason@mahalo.com. Okay?
Right on. Thanks a lot, guys.
I'll talk to you. Cheers. Bye.
Ciao.